Hey, if you didn't know this already, there's a new airstrip being approved just outside of Prescott. And depending on who you talk to, it's either a smart aviation project or something that could completely change the feel of an entire area. And here's the thing, most people don't actually understand what this project really is. So in this video, we're going to break down what the Perkinsville airstrip actually is, where it's going, who it could affect, and why people are so divided about it.
Hey everyone, I'm Jessica.
And I'm Lisa.
And people are hearing words like airport runway and planes overhead, but the details are where things start to get interesting. Because what nobody is really explaining clearly is how this could affect nearby homes, rural neighborhoods, and even buyers thinking about moving to the area. And stick around because there's one number tied to this project and completely changes how people feel about it.
Let's start with the biggest misconception. This is not going to be a commercial airport. You're not going to have Southwest Airlines landing here, but this is where people get confused. This is being described as a private airfield tied to Embry-Riddle flight training, and that's one detail that matters a lot. Because when people hear private airstrip, they picture a few planes here and there, but that's not necessarily what this is. This is tied to flight training operations, which means repeated takeoffs, repeated landings, and something called touch and go training. That's where planes land, immediately take off again, and repeat that pattern over and over. So now the conversation shifts. This isn't about occasional noise, it's more about frequency, and that's why this project has gotten so much attention.
Now let's talk about the number that's really driving this conversation. There has been discussions of up to 40 touch and go operations per hour and up to 110 per day. So just think about that for a second. That's not one plane now and then. That's the potential for repeated pattern flying at times. And that's why some people are saying this doesn't feel like a small rural airstrip. It feels more like a training environment. Now, to be fair, supporters say it will be controlled. It won't be constant all day, and it will be managed responsibly. But even the possibility of that level of activity changes how people feel about living nearby.
Okay, let's talk about where this is actually going. This is not in downtown Prescott. This is in Chino Valley in the Perkinsville Road area, specifically near East Perkinsville Road and Forest Service Road 318A. And even though it's not in Prescott city limits, it still affects the Prescott area as a whole, especially for buyers looking at North Prescott Valley, or Chino Valley, or looking at acreage and horse properties. So naturally, people start asking if this could affect where they want to buy.
So before we go further, this is where a lot of people get confused about the approval process, because when people hear that this got approved, they assume it is completely done, but that's not exactly how it works. Yes, the town has approved the zoning and the use, which is actually the biggest hurdle. And that means from a land use standpoint, the town has said yes to this being built there. But the project still has to go through the FAA review, and the FAA does not approve whether the project gets built. They review whether it's safe in the airspace. They look at things like flight paths, nearby airports, and potential safety conflicts, and then they issue a determination such as no objection or no objection with conditions. There is also coordination at the state level, and this is only phase one. If this expands in the future, any additional phases would have to go back through approval again. So what you are seeing now may not necessarily be the final version of what this could become.
Okay, let's talk about who could be most affected. The areas that keep coming up include the Perkinsville Road Corridor, Road 1 East, the Perkinsville 44 subdivision, the M.A. Perkins Trailway area in Chino Valley, nearby rural homes, and the Garshan Buddhist Institute area. And what makes this different is that these are not dense neighborhoods. These are quiet, rural, lifestyle-driven areas. People moved there for space, peace, and privacy. So when something like this comes in, it feels personal. Now let's talk about something interesting that you may have already seen online. There's actually a Facebook page called Yes for Chino Valley Airfield, and it gives you a look at how supporters are viewing this project. There is also a Facebook page called No Chino Valley Airfield, which of course is dedicated to not having the airfield in the area. We'll leave it to you to decide for yourself. From the Yes perspective, they are saying the site is several miles outside of town, that the aircraft being used are relatively quiet, and that this type of use fits a rural environment. So in their view, a lot of the concern is being exaggerated. But on the other side, you have nearby residents saying it is not just about distance, it's about frequency. It's not just about how loud one plane is, it's about repeated flights over time, and that is really where the disagreement is happening.
Now let's talk about the concerns, whether you agree with them or not. These are the things people keep bringing up. The first is noise, not just a plane passing by once in a while, but the possibility of repeated overhead activity. The second is the rural lifestyle. People chose these areas for quiet and open space, so the question becomes whether this changes that. The third is property values. This one is debated, but it's still something buyers will be asking. The fourth is flight paths, because it's not just where the runway is, it's where the planes actually fly. And the fifth is future expansion. Since this is being described as phase one, and there have been discussions about hangars, buildings, and potentially more development later, some people are wondering if this is just the beginning.
Now here's the big question. With all of these concerns, why did this project still move forward? And this is where you hear the other side. Supporters say since this is private land, property owners should have rights and bring this aviation opportunity and potential economic benefits. So now this becomes more than just a development issue. It becomes a philosophical one. Growth versus preservation, property rights versus community impact, and there's no easy answer here.
So what does all of this actually mean for you? Whether you already live here or you are thinking about moving here, this is really about understanding how areas change over time. Because you're not just buying a house, you are buying into an area, and part of that is knowing what could be coming next.
So we're curious about what you think. Do you see this as smart progress or something that could change the area too much? Let us know in the comments, and please keep your comments clean. We'd really appreciate it. And if you're thinking about moving to Prescott, Chino Valley, or anywhere nearby, and you want to understand things like this before you buy, this is exactly what we help people with every day. We'll help you choose the right area, avoid surprises, and find what truly fits your lifestyle. Call, text, or email us anytime. We'd love to chat. And don't forget, we're trying to get 1,000 subscribers, and we'd love for you to help us get there. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.